Now it's going.
Wouldn't that be funny if it wasn't recorded?
Are we live?
Yep.
Awful and funny.
We're live! I told you it's going to get weird today.
Oh, there's a person.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy. You were at second period, right?
Hey, bud.
Hey, wait. This is going to be awesome. This is going to be awesome. Come here.
What?
Come here, hurry up. Hurry up. Come on. Hi, Mr. Griffin. I was going to have him say hello to himself. All right. Today it's going to be super weird. We're going to get through my second favorite president, hopefully today. And we have a guest in the room. It's first and third period. Everybody say hi, first, third period.
Hi, first and third period.
You suck.
They really liked it. That was Nina. All right. We've gotten through the the Gilded Age. Today we're going to really get into this Progressive Era. The Progressive Era is a lot of reform, and we're going to get into imperialism. We kind of saw that stuff coming up when we talked about populism and all the issues that populism had. But we got to get into reform. That Gilded Age, remember, has that golden facade. But there's a whole bunch of just really inequality under the surface. I like to think that it's typically when we hit these economic downturns that we start to really focus on the things that are going wrong with the country and try to make those changes. And that's really what creates a segue for the Progressive Era and Progressive Era reform. All right, this Peasant Standard here. Today we're going to talk Upton Sinclair and the Jungle. We'll talk Jane Addams and the Whole House. We've already talked Jim Crow laws. Today we will talk Plessy versus Ferguson. We're going to have to wait a little bit for NAACP. We'll probably get that Monday when we get back together. We'll talk Ida. We'll talk muckrakers. I'm going to save this for sometime next week. That'll be really the last thing, or one of the last things that we talk about, the actual progressive reforms. And we will talk conservation as well today. Peasant standards are weird. You know, we knocked out Chinese Exclusion Act 20 years ago. So we've got that one down. Today we'll get into Span Am War. We'll talk about expansion all the way out into the Philippines. We should get through Roosevelt Corollary, Monroe Doctrine, actually how they kind of reflect each other, and we'll definitely create the Panama Canal today as well. And those are the same standards that we have been looking at. Again, a lot of what's going on. There's going to be a lot of reform to the unrest that we saw here. We have to talk about the big city. Did the book get passed all the way around?
No.
Pass this book around. It's on my desk. I've marked a couple pages that I want you to look at that have just what I think are really good pictures of the other parts of society, the parts that aren't on the front street, the parts that aren't gilded. So you can really begin to get an understanding of why we need reform and what the city problems really are. Okay. As far as down in here, we've already knocked out this agrarian discontent. And like I said, this progressive reform we'll get to later. Today, what we're mostly going to be functioning on is Roosevelt as a progressive. So, let's go. All right. 1896. 1896 is going to be a really interesting election. It's going to have a lot of influence from big business because we're going to have a fairly strong candidate who believes in silver. And so you're going to see who supports gold?
East.
Eastern what? Yeah, the bankers and industrialists are going to pour a lot of money into this election to make sure that silver does not win. But we'll get into that. Okay? Let's start off with the Republicans. Republicans are going to get together in St. Louis. They've got a couple big name candidates. You've got Reid, who's the Speaker of the House, and you've got a guy, William McKinley. William McKinley has a campaign manager named Mark Hanna. Per this sheet that I gave you, who was Mark Hanna?
The lion.
He was in business.
He's the wizard himself. You know, he's the one that's pulling the strings behind all this. Mark Hanna was a very effective campaign manager. He was so effective in this campaign here that the convention itself was completely staged. He had already secured enough votes for McKenna before the convention even started. I'm sorry, McKinley, not McKenna. McKinley's going to get the nod on the first ballot and gets paired with a guy out of New Jersey named Hobart. Okay, H-O-B-A-R-T. Platform for the Republicans. There's a really big debate. Going on over currency, and so the Republicans are going to actually write two platforms. One of them is for gold, one's for silver. They're going to end up settling on the pro-gold. All right, they're going to settle on the pro-gold. So what do you think all the pro-silver people did? Got up and walked out. Okay. Have we seen that before? Yeah. So, outside of the gold standard, they want a high tariff, and they're going to simply criticize Cleveland and the Democratic Party. All right. The Dems, they're going to get together in Chicago. They're badly divided over currency. We think back to Cleveland. What happened with Cleveland, the Democrats, and the issue on currency?
He brought in Congress and said for gold again, and so
Yeah, he wants gold, and which part of the country doesn't like that?
West.
Yeah, the Western Democrats. So they're badly divided. It seemed as if the pro-silver was in control. All right. This guy, William Jennings Bryan, who is he? Courage. So our story is what? Our Wizard of Oz, who is he?
The lion.
Good, the lion. William Jennings Bryan is going to give a speech called the Cross of Gold. All right. And William Jennings Bryan is a very, very good orator. You know, he's a very good speaker, and he gives this Cross of Gold speech to a bunch of pro-silver people, where he basically says that if we continue to go down this path, down this quote-unquote this yellow brick road, then we are going to end up crucifying ourselves to a cross of gold. You think that's going to be powerful? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. He gives this speech. Everybody's on their feet. It's just a fantastic event. It really electrifies the crowd. And instantly, Bryan becomes the front runner for the Democrats. Okay? The only big problems with Bryan, he's not from an important state. He's not from an important state. I want to say he's like Nebraska or somewhere in the middle of the country. They're not important. And he's only 36 years old. How old do you have to be to run for president?
35.
35. All right. And so a lot of people are really questioning his qualifications. Okay. It doesn't matter though. Bryan's going to end up getting the ballot on the fifth nod, and he gets paired with a guy Sewell from Maine, who is a ship. That's with a P. Builder. All right, a ship builder. Go ahead. Sewell or ship? S-E-W-E-L-L. I just shipped my pants. You guys seen that commercial?
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I should have pants with that shirt.
You can't ship your pants with that shirt.
Shipped my bed.
All right, platform. Okay, platform. What do you think Democrats after this cross of gold speech want?
Gold.
Yeah, they want the unlimited coinage of silver. All right, the unlimited coinage of silver. They want a reduction in the tariff. They want to regulate the railroad. They're advocating for an income tax. And they're pro-labor. July, the populace, they're getting together. They're going to have a little mini convention in St. Louis. It's interesting here. How are the populace doing? They just came off an awesome election, but what's happened in the meantime to kind of tarnish their reputation?
That was a marcher guy.
Pullman strike.
Not Pullman.
Oh.
Coxey's Army. All right, Coxey's Army. Kind of made them look bad. Is there a direct correlation between the populace and Coxey's Army? No, but people are stupid and they mix things together. Okay. The populace are going to have, like I said, a mini convention in St. Louis, and they choose to accept William Jennings Bryan as their front runner. They're going to nominate a guy, Tom Watson, as vice president. And people, because of this, they're kind of like this populist Democrat mix. They're going to call them in this election Popocrats. Okay. So the campaign, Bryan is going to be the first to campaign. He's going to really campaign extensively. He's going to travel over 18,000 miles, giving over 600 speeches. McKinley is simply going to sit back and run a front porch campaign. Hannah, his campaign manager, is going to arrange for trains to come to Canton, Ohio, to bring people to come listen to the speeches. Are we going again?
Yeah, we're good. I don't know where it stopped. Don't. Why is this my fault?
It does not.
I got all of that.
Good. I'm
We're
glad.
gonna put it
I'm
in.
glad. Republicans have got a lot of money. Is it important to have a lot of money when running a campaign?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Country looks awfully what?
Red.
Awfully red, but who wins this thing?
McKinley.
Why?
Got this.
He got
He
the
got the
first match.
There you go. You got that perfect line from New York to Illinois. Remember, if you win this, you don't really have to win very many other states. And he's able to take enough. Now, what do we know about this area in blue?
Highly populated.
Well, of course, highly populated, but what type of economy?
Industry.
Industrial.
Weird how that works out, right? Yeah. So, McKinley. McKinley's the man, at least for now. All right. This progressive movement. All right. McKinley's election really marks the beginning of the progressive era, at least the way that I look at it. And like I said at the very beginning, the progressive era is really marked by reform and imperialism. All right. The reform movements that we're going to see a lot of reform in food and health. We'll see a lot of reform in women's empowerment, civil rights, labor, environment, and the overall structure of the government. But we're also going to become imperial in nature. We're going to go take Hawaii, and then we've got a lot that's going to go on with this Spanish-American War here. Okay, so that's the stuff that we're looking at as far as change. What's my next term here? So let's get into some of this stuff. All right, we talked about immigration. What's going on with immigration nowadays?
It's like looked down upon. You don't want
What kind of changing dynamics do we have in immigration?
more
It's more food
It's more western, like we call that eastern.
Yeah, more from the southeast. Why is that so significant?
Because it's moving from the like the
because they have
highly
different.
good countries and stuff like
Yeah, they're from different countries. They've got different views on how things should be done in society and government and economics. More socialistic ideas. It's not full-blown socialism yet, but there are those ideas that are beginning to manifest themselves. And as people come over, what did we say people are doing for once they get over here?
Big cities.
Big cities or industrial towns. One of the things that is being offered, and initially starts in Chicago with this lady, Jane Addams, she is going to create what's known as the Whole House. Okay, this is the Whole House that was in Chicago. The Whole House is for immigrants. All right, it's for immigrants. It's short-term living. Basically, you come over. What are some of the key things that an immigrant must have to be successful right off the bat? Housing, job. In order to get a job, what do you have to know? A skill and
English.
and it helps to have English. What if you have kids?
You're screwed.
What do you need? Well, I'm saying you got to work. Babysitter. All of this is provided by the Whole House. All right. People come in. It's short term. You're not going to live there for your entire life, but you come over, and it really is created to help get immigrants on their feet. Help get immigrants on their feet. It's going to give them a little bit of schooling, help them learn some English, a little bit of job training, help them find jobs, provides a roof over their head, and they'll even take care of the kids. Do you think this is going to be wildly successful?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's going to be so successful, especially in Chicago. There are going to be people that eventually will become movers and shakers in the Chicago area that got their start at the Whole House. All right, so people literally going from nothing to the movers and shakers of society. The Whole House is going to be so helpful that we're going to see other Whole House-like establishments in major cities with high immigration or high immigrant populations around the country. All right, so this is something that is, as it says, going to provide options for immigrants. One of the other things that we're going to put out is, put out fairly early here though, is civil rights. We had that Civil Rights of 1875, which prohibited discrimination where? Basically all aspects of life. All right, what was it? Schools, juries, public transportation, all accommodations. Only for that Civil Rights Act to be deemed what? What was the response? What gets created because that was deemed unconstitutional?
Jim Crow law.
The Jim Crow laws. And what are the Jim Crow laws?
Legalized segregation.
Legalized segregation. And with that came symbols, and we talked about the importance of symbols, right?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Then we get Plessy versus Ferguson. Okay, Plessy versus Ferguson. Just find my date real quick. How's everybody doing over there?
They said you look fat on camera.
Does it put on so much weight?
Fabulous.
No good. Oh, sweet, I got 9 minutes on this section. Whatever, we'll go from the top of the dome. Plessy versus Ferguson. That guy in the top corner here. This one right here. This is Homer Plessy. Okay? Homer Plessy is 1/8 black. Does he look like a black guy? No. Alright? He's 1/8 black. And the Jim Crow laws, while people are free, are they equal? No. Homer Plessy is in Louisiana, and he gets on a passenger train. Alright? This right here is what those train cars look like. What is one of the major train car companies?
Pullman.
Yeah, the Pullman car company. This is an example of what it would look like on the inside. Very lavish, very nice. You sit down, you eat. It almost looks like a restaurant. Okay. So Homer Plessy's in there. Are black people supposed to be in there?
No.
Absolutely not. Does he look like a black guy though? No. He's going to announce that he is 1/8 black. All right. He's going to announce that he's 1/8 black. as he's sitting with all these people here. And he is going to be told, well, if that's true, you need to leave. He refuses. Okay, he's going to refuse. At the next stop, he'll get kicked off the train. He'll get arrested. Big, long court case. Makes it all to the Supreme Court in Plessy versus Ferguson. Plessy versus Ferguson is going to come out and say that separate but equal is the way it's going to go down. All right? Separate but equal. Separate water fountains, separate bathrooms, separate schools, separate restaurants, separate railroad trains. Now, there really should be an asterisk on equal. All right? It's equal in function, not quality. Okay? Equal in function, not quality. We take a look at these two water fountains. What does the white water fountain have that the colored water fountain does not?
Cleanliness. Yeah.
Well, cleanliness is one, but what's another?
A little knob.
It has the like.
Refrigeration,
Yeah.
cold water. All right. Schools are going to be, very, very different moving forward. And guys, this is going to last. This is right around 1900. This is going to last all the way up until the 57 is when separate but equal is going to be repealed. So this is going to be the doctrine that our society functions on. All right. Again, is this a powerful symbol?
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay. Schools are going to be different. A white school would be very similar to this, minus all the technology. But as far as brick and nice, clean, healthy environment, good books, the black schools would oftentimes be repurposed barns. Only one classroom. Typically, just maybe a couple benches in there, no desks. Books that were discarded decades ago by the white schools. Is that separate but equal?
Yeah.
In what? In function, not quality. All right, so understand there really should be an asterisk there. But that's what we're going to be functioning on. Again, for the next really like 57 years. All right, is Plessy versus Ferguson. Just like Marbury versus Madison, every time I say Marbury versus Madison, you're supposed to think what?
Judicial review.
Judicial review, it's the same thing. Plessy versus Ferguson.
Separate but equal.
Plessy versus Ferguson.
Separate but equal.
How about you guys now? Plessy versus Ferguson. I heard it. Did you guys hear it?
Yeah.
Even with my good ear. So weird.
Modern.
Yeah. So, let's get into some foreign policy. All right. Hawaii. All right. Hawaii. When does it become a territory?
1898.
Man, you guys are wicked smart. Wicked smart. All right. Hawaii was independent. Hawaii had its own queen. This was the queen. I call her Queen Lily. All right, because I don't know really how to say her real name. It's like Lily Huma Huma Nuka Nuka Apawaka. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so Queen Lily. Queen Lily was the queen. Hawaii was independent.
Alright, we're good again.
Lily Apawaka. Spam. In the 1880s, the Queen's going to get overthrown by the U.S. We're basically going to roll some ships in there and say, hey, we're going to take over this land. And you can either continue to be the Queen or not. And she looked out and saw warships and said, yeah, okay, no. I got a grass skirt, It's it really is kind of doesn't have much of a choice. Why would we want Hawaii?
Because it's beautiful.
Well, that's true, but why else?
It's in the middle. Right down the middle.
There you go. It would be fantastic if we could have some type of of stop point for both military and economics, because what do we know is happening over here in China? Well, what's trying to open up?
Industry.
Trade. Imperialism.
Starts with
Circles
an
of
S.
influence.
Say it again.
Circles of influence.
Say it so they can hear it.
Of influence.
Spheres of influence. Ah, man, I need to have one of these in class every day. Every day. So strange. So yeah, it just works. 1893. 1893 annexation was proposed. Cleveland said no. All right, but in July of 1898, a joint resolution was passed. McKinley signed it, and Hawaii becomes a territory. All right.
It's like Encino Man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wheeze in the juice, baby. Becomes a territory. This really is the beginning of our imperialist desires. We go back to that Monroe Doctrine. What did the Monroe Doctrine say?
No.
Yeah. Now, whose side is their side? Whose side is our side? We are what?
West.
Western Hemisphere. Europe is. Does that include Asia?
No.
Maybe.
That's the gray area. That's the gray area. All right. And we'll see all that kind of come to a head with the Spanish-American War. The Spam War, Spanish-American, the Spam War really is over Cuba. Okay, it's over Cuba. We can see Cuba here. Here's Florida, just so you can see how close Cuba is to Florida. It's all over Cuba. Have we tried to take Cuba before?
Yes.
With what? Anybody remember?
Gaston Purchase?
What?
Gaston Purchase?
Gaston Purchase bought basically southern Arizona.
I thought it was
Was it?
It was a manifesto.
Austin,
There you go, Austin Manifesto. Remember that made, who is it, Pierce? Looked terrible. Yeah. It's over Cuba. Cuba's owned by Spain at this time, and Cubans want their independence. If we've got this Monroe Doctrine thing that says, hey, you got to let your colonies sink or swim, and the Cubans want independence, how do we feel about this?
Let's go save them.
Spain needs to leave. Now, 1895, the Cuban Revolution is going to begin. Okay, the Cuban Revolution is going to begin. Cubans start rebelling against Spanish rule, and the U.S. has interests in Cuba. You know, we've got a lot of interests in Cuba. We've got some people down there, but we've really got a lot of financial and economic interest and a lot of money. When I say a lot of money, I'm talking we've got about $450 million worth of investment at that time in Cuba. And we're pulling in somewhere around $100 million a year in trade with Cuba. So what we want to do, this starts up under Cleveland. Cleveland's going to do little. He's in favor of Cuban independence, but without revolution. And if there is going to be a revolution, do you think he wants to get involved in it?
No.
Absolutely not. McKinley is initially going to adopt Cleveland's stance. Okay, he's going to initially adopt Cleveland's stance. He wanted to resolve the issue through diplomacy. All right. In January of '98, McKinley's going to take some action. What he's going to do is send a naval vessel, the USS Maine. This is a picture of the Maine. Okay, he's going to send the USS Maine down to Cuba. He's going to dock it right outside of Havana here. And it's not really so much as a military action, but it's more to show concern. It's to show concern and to show any U.S. citizens that are in Cuba at that time that if poop hits the fan, we got a way to get you out. Okay? Well, you never heard that expression? Well, it's typically more vulgar, but no. When I was living in Costa Rica, that was my students' favorite idiom. They're like, that makes sense. Of course it does. Of course it does. It gets everywhere.
Ew.
Idioms are fun. So it's really to show concern. So the Maine's sitting in the port in Havana, February 15th, in the middle of the night, the Maine blows up. We see a picture of the Maine blown up, sitting there half sunk. Both Spain and the U.S. are going to blame each other for sinking the Maine. Okay? U.S. is going to say Spain did it. Spain's going to say the U.S. did it.
To start a war.
To start out, yeah.
Why not? All right.
We have this.
McKinley is not ready for war yet. McKinley's not ready for war yet, but what we're going to see is what's known as yellow journalism. You guys know what yellow journalism is?
I think so.
What is yellow
I think
journalism?
that's when, like,
When
they
you
say
use
bunch
a
of
yellow
blasphemy
journal.
and stuff.
No. So,
Like you say a lot of blasphemy, like you try to get the people riled up.
yeah, it's simply fictitious reporting in order to create a mob mentality. And so newspapers start putting all this stuff that Cuba is evil, it is oppressing its people, it is attacking U.S. ships like the Maine, and that the United States needs to wrest Cuba from the evil, wicked Spanish Empire.
That's what's out there.
Yeah, can you like depict that picture for me, please?
Do what?
Like, okay. Who is that guy that's wearing the ridiculous U.S. outfit?
It's Uncle Sam, duh.
Nuh-uh.
U.S.
Oh yeah,
That's why
look at him. U.S. He's got some sweet tights, and
Stuff.
yeah, and he's saving
I
her.
like the Spanish guy. He's
And
like,
one is.
can you dress up as him one day?
Yeah, please dress up as Uncle Sam
you
like
You
that.
just get a giant
No,
sombrero.
no.
And just poncho.
So, a lot of Americans believe we must rest, and that's W-R-E-S-T. What does rest mean?
Take by force.
There we go. Must wrest Cuba from the evil, wicked Spanish. Okay? Mob mentality is super powerful. It's very, very powerful. It typically, when a lot of people get the same idea in their head, even if it is based in fictitious reporting, it forces people's hands. April 11th, McKinley's going to send a war message to Congress. Okay, sends a war message to Congress. Remember, whenever president asks for war, you got to give reasons. Most of his concerns were humanitarian concerns. All right, humanitarian concerns, as well as financial. He was worried that a lot of property. How much had we invested?
450 million.
Yeah, $450 million. That a lot of that property could be destroyed. And if that property gets destroyed, are we going to be pulling in $100 million a year in trade?
No.
No. All right. April 25th, Congress declares war. Okay? Congress declares war. But in their declaration of war, they're going to add in an amendment, the Teller Amendment. Okay? The Teller Amendment. The Teller Amendment was added to the War Declaration. And what the Teller Amendment did was proclaim Cuba's independence. All right? It basically said that once the war was over, the U.S. could not annex Cuba. Cuba would become an independent sovereign nation. All right? Why would we put that in there?
So they'll be on our side.
Sure, they'll be on our side, but what don't we want to look like?
Imperials.
Imperialists. All right? That's still kind of a dirty, naughty word. Oh, don't call me an imperialist. I'm just trying to save this beautiful creature from this evil, wicked soul. Okay. Now we take a look. Spanish-American War it's going to be pretty quick. Spain is not prepared for this. Spain didn't want war, at least not with us. We're immediately going to, what are we putting around Cuba? A naval blockade. Nothing's coming in, nothing's coming out. There's going to be a series of a couple battles, and Spain would be defeated in Cuba. All right, but that's not the only part of the Spanish-American War. Otherwise, we'd call it the Cuban War. All right. Spain also has control of the Philippines. Right? Also has control of the Philippines. The Filipinos had wanted their independence for a while, and so we are also going to wrest the Filipinos from Spanish rule. Why are we concerned about the Philippines way over there?
So would you get like trading and like
Imperialism.
Think back to world history. Had we gotten a spot in the Hong Kong port?
Nope.
No. All right, that would have been very expensive, and that would have required a lot of effort. How close are the Philippines to Hong Kong?
Pretty darn close.
Very close. Is it like nearly having the same thing?
yeah.
Yes. All right, so now we have the Philippines. We also have Cuba, which would be, I'm sorry, Hawaii, which would be somewhere over here. The United States is over there. All right. We are building an economic empire. Okay. The war. The war is definitely going to boot.
And we are good.
Starts with an R,
Retarded.
ends with a.
I don't know.
E-sources.
Oh,
Resources.
Thank you. Good gracious. All right, so we're good there. We are going to have an election, a midterm election. 98. What happens in a midterm election?
Third of the House.
Third of the House. I'm sorry, third of the Senate. All of the House. Republicans are going to gain control of Congress. Why are they going to overrun Congress?
Because they look good.
They look good from the war. But more importantly, New York is going to get a new government. Theodore Roosevelt.
Finally.
Okay. Theo, it comes in as a reformer. He's going to immediately clash with Platt. Teddy is going to meet with Platt, and in order to get Platt to kind of jump on the Theo bandwagon and campaign for him, Theo's like, oh yeah, I'll make the appointments you want me to make. Platt campaigns extensively for Theo. Theo becomes governor. Theo appoints no Platt people. Says, yeah, thanks, you scabini. But what happens when you cross a political boss?
You get hurt.
Probably get shot in the head.
You know, there's bad things can happen. Okay. But understand that Platt and Conkling are not really on the same level. Okay. So, oh, here we go. Sorry. Boom! There he is. What does the 98 election do?
Republicans take over the Senate.
1/3 of the Senate.
And who becomes important?
We're third.
Why?
Governor of New York.
And the governor of New York, is that some...
It's a step to court.
Yeah, you know, we've seen it as a step to the presidency. It's definitely a step to you know, future big times. Okay. Currency's got to get taken care of. Okay. 1900, we're going to get the Gold Standard Act. What do you think it does?
Makes gold gold.
There you go. Formally places all U.S. currency on gold. All right. Formally places the U.S. currency on gold. Says that we can have no less than $150 million worth of gold in the reserves. Who's going to be satisfied with this? Yeah, big businesses. Currency will not be an issue anymore. Instead of currency being the big issue, foreign policy is going to take over. Okay, foreign policy is going to take over. And now that we have the gold standard, what third party ceases to exist? The populace. They gone. So, let's see if we have a... Okay. Election in 1900. Election in 1900. June. Republicans are going to get together in Philly. All right, they're getting together in Philly. There's no one really to contest McKinley. Why is everybody on the McKinley train?
Because he
Because
won
he
that
wants
war.
them.
Yeah, the war looks good. He's going to get all the votes. The vice presidency, though, is vacant. Okay, it's vacant. Platt is furious at who?
Teddy.
At Teddy. He wants to politically bury him. All right? And if you're going to politically bury somebody, what do you make him? The vice president.
What?
All right? If you want to politically bury somebody, you make them the vice president. Because the vice president is a joke of an office.
Oh.
All you do is sit in the Senate and wait for the day that the Senate ends in a tie. So you can go, hey, I get to do something. I vote this way.
So not
When it
true.
dies.
You get the starry windows.
And you get starry windows.
It's totally worth it.
Sure, if you're ancient and you're ending your political
But
career.
Bill Clinton-
Not if you just... Bill Clinton's not a vice president.
No, I'm talking about the other one.
Yeah, and look what he's doing now. Spent too much time looking at the stars. All right. So Platt wants to bury Teddy. Guess who becomes the vice presidential candidate with McKinley? Oh, Theo. I wanted to name my son Theo. My wife said no.
That was another thing that you
It's
suggested.
like Theodore. You know, Theodore would be a great name. Terrence was another name I liked.
Not bad.
If you want him to get picked on.
I can totally see it.
You'll call for Terry.
I don't know. I mean, your parents don't mind Nina.
Okay, there's a bad story behind that.
I know. All right. Where am I in my notes? Here we go. So we got McKinley and Teddy going for the Republicans platform. Gonna applaud the Republicans over the past 4 years because McKinley won the war. There's a lot of talk about post-war expansion, primarily building a canal somewhere in Central America. Why would we want to build a canal in Central America? Trade, all right, for trading purposes. Wants to maintain the gold standard, wants a high tariff, and they're saying that they're against monopolies and trusts. Okay? So that's the Republicans. Democrats. Democrats are going to get together in Kansas City. Democrats get together in Kansas City. They've only got one candidate, William Jennings Bryan. They're going to pair him up with a guy named Stevenson out of Illinois. Platform for Bryan and the Democrats, anti-imperialism, which means that if we're anti-imperialist, they're probably going to be against what? A canal building, yeah. They're in favor of the coinage of silver. Is that kind of a moot point at this point?
Pretty much.
Should be. And they are calling for the direct election of the Senate. Who is electing the Senate at this point? All the way back from the beginning of the Constitution. Who? States. The states are. Remember, they're looking at those state lists and putting them in the Senate. That's what's happening now. They're calling for the direct election of the Senate. Who have we seen doing that before? Third parties. Specifically the parties. Okay. We got a socialist party. Third party, socialist party. Why a socialist party?
Because we got a lot of immigrants.
There we go. And remember, when does that shift begin?
Around this time.
When do the immigrants start? When does the southeastern immigration trend start to really pick up? 18 what? 1880s, 1890s. It's 1900. And these people have got voting rights at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we're going to see a socialist party. The socialist party is going to run Eugene V. Debs. Where have we seen Debs before?
Pullman strike.
Yeah. What was he doing at the Pullman strike?
Was he like the leader?
Leader of
The railroad.
Railroad Union. Okay. So Debs is running as the socialist. Campaign. In the campaign, Bryan's going to speak extensively against imperialism against trusts, and against monopolies. Does Teddy know that Platt's trying to politically bury him?
Yes.
You better believe it. You better believe it. And so he wants to put his name in everyone's mouth across the country. Teddy is going to say, okay, well, fine. If I'm going to be the Republican vice president, I'm going to spearhead the campaign for this. I'm going to make sure that we win. He is going to give over 600 speeches in 567 cities across 24 different states. All right? He is going to go out and do his thing. And the whole, I guess, the central thesis of all of his speeches is prosperity has returned. Okay? Prosperity has returned. And these type of propaganda campaign posters come up all over the place. We take a look in 1896. It says, "Gone Democratic." What's happening at the back here?
I can't see. Those people.
People can't.
It says, "A run on the bank." Why? What's happening under the Democrats?
They want
They want
Yeah, you got that panic going on. Banking failures. Spanish rule in Cuba. Can anybody tell what this looks like?
Oh, jail.
Yeah, a whole bunch of people in jail. 1900, gone Republican. Is industry up and running?
Yeah.
How can we tell that it's not running here, but it is here?
There's a bunch of smoke.
Smokestacks, good. A run on the bank. Are people going to or away from the bank?
Away
To the bank to put money back in. An American rule in Cuba, does it look a lot nicer?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we've got, other stuff. Here was William Jennings Bryan. Remember, in Wizard of Oz, he's the Cowardly Lion. Being chased down by, a bunch of dogs. The prosperity has returned speeches. Again, he's going to give over 600 of these things. And it's really going to do the trick. We take a look at the outcome of the election. Who wins this thing?
McKinley.
Has the red died down a bit?
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely it has. About what percent is feeling socialist of the population? 2%. 2% of the country. As we go through the next couple elections, watch this grow. Watch this grow. Because this is growing, now it'll never equate to any electoral votes, but as you watch this grow, you will see people calling for immigration restrictions, and we'll get to that once we get really into the 1920s. All right. So March 4th.
You're good again.
Platt is happier than a pig in mud all the way up until about September. So what is that, 6 months or so?
Okay.
6 months he's feeling great. And then September 5th, his whole world kind of comes down on top of him. McKinley was at a Pan American exposition, all right? At a Pan American exposition, this guy right here, Leon Czolgosz. Say that with me. Leon Czolgosz. Yeah, it's a weird name. Czolgosz. And you thought Montesinos was weird. Czolgosz. He's going to come up, shoot McKinley twice at point blank range. 2 times. Czolgosz was an unemployed anarchist immigrant. Where's he from?
Germany?
West or Eastern Europe.
Yeah, southeastern Europe. All right. Medical doctors are going to try to save McKinley. They're going to make 2 operations. The first one, they opened him up, removed the bullet, sewed him back up. The second one, they had to open him back up because they left some cloth inside the president.
Oh my
Yeah.
Good job,
Way to go.
doctors.
Yeah, it happened. He's the president. They got the best doctors they could for him.
I have a PhD in the operations game.
Yeah. Yeah, they had to go back and remove cloth because they forgot it.
Genius.
I mean, think about that. You're sitting there in the middle. Nice job, good surgery.
Where's that?
Doctor, we're missing some tools. What? There's an abnormally large lump on the president. Well, poop.
Did it really hit the fan?
It probably did at that point. I'm sure somebody got fired. So that was on the 5th that he got shot. On the 14th, McKinley died. On the 23rd, Szolgolsz went on trial. He'd have a 9-hour trial, and then he'd be executed. Well, it'd
I
be a
didn't
month.
need a 9-hour trial if he was guilty.
9 hours, you know.
That's short.
That's really short. 9 hours, and then October 29th, he's executed. Who
Why are
is
they giving
weeping
him a long
infinite tears of sadness?
What?
Is it because he and McKinley were so tight?
No.
No. Why?
Teddy's president.
Because his plan got ruined! I hate when my plans get ruined. There he is.
Why does Teddy look so sad?
Because he's the man. Because why does he look sad in that picture? He looks sad because he'd rather be riding a moose in a river than wearing glasses without arms.
That's true.
It looks like Hilton with hair.
Ish, for sure. Teddy. Is Teddy pumped?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Teddy, he's going to come in and he's going to do things his way. He's going to do things his way. He's going to come in, he's going to completely renovate the White House. He comes in, again, you know, right there, September of '01. June of '02, he's going to start renovations. He's going to dump $500,000 into the White House for renovations. It'll be completed by November. That's when we get 2 wings to the White House, the East Wing and the West Wing. The West Wing is for work. The East Wing is for social events. Okay, and it's under Teddy where we actually start calling it the White House. Okay, Teddy is 42 when he becomes president, youngest president, and he's got this very large, very wild, very crazy family. They've got, you know, they're just on a whole nother level. They really have this. I mean, we know Teddy has a larger than life persona, but a lot of his family that come with him do as well. Okay. Teddy's got an agenda. He is tired of seeing these weak presidents, and most of the power being held by what 2 entities? Robber barons and political bosses. And he wants to use the legitimate authority of government. Okay. And he's going to use this legitimate authority of government to restrain private power, meaning he's going to go after who? Big business. And he wants to use federal authorities to solve problems in the country. He says, hey, you know, we should be solving problems in the country. This agenda that he's got is what's known as the square deal. Okay, the square deal. Square deal. Squares have how many corners?
4.
And there's 4 corners to his agenda. They are trust, labor, conservation, reason. Again, that's trust, labor, conservation, reason.
You're like Dora.
Yeah, it's fun to play with this. Especially when nobody else is looking. So let's go through this. Teddy is not going to touch the tariff. He does not touch the tariff at all. All right. The things that he's focusing on are
Trust.
trust,
Labor.
labor.
Conservation. Reason.
Good. All right, so let's start off with trust. He's antitrust, anti-monopoly. What is the piece of legislation that he's going to resurrect that's going to go after trust and monopolies?
Monopoly regulation.
Anti-Sherman.
Not anti-Sherman.
Sherman Antitrust Act.
There we go, Sherman Antitrust Act. Remind me, Sherman Antitrust Act prohibits what?
Contract, conspiracy, and combination that inhibits
Good. Contracts, combination, and conspiracy, and restraint of trade. Very good. He is. Teddy's really going to get the nickname, the Trust Buster, because he is going to start
Busting
trust busting. Okay, trust busting.
Who are you gonna call?
Trust Buster. Yeah. He's really going to use the Sherman Antitrust Act effectively. February 1902, he's going to move against the Northern Securities Company. Okay, he's going to move against the Northern Securities Company. The Northern Securities Company is J.P. Morgan's monopoly on the Northwest Railroads. Is he starting off with a big fish?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that it's going to go to court. It's going to be a big trial. 1904, the Supreme Court is going to rule in favor of the government. How's J.P. Morgan feeling?
Terrible.
He's absolutely beside himself. What does this do to all the robber barons? Oh man, they are shaken to their core. They are scared that the Trust Buster is going to come bust them up. We would see Teddy go over not only the Northern Securities Company, which again was J.P. Morgan's, but he'd go after Standard Oil. Whose is that?
Rockefeller.
Rockefeller. He'd go after the tobacco industry. Anybody know who that is?
No.
The Duke.
Oh,
No clue, just tell us.
We're not good at these games.
It's in the reading. You can find it yourself.
Oh.
Reading. As well as the beef industry. Where's the beef industry located?
Chicago.
There we go.
Where's
good.
the beef?
Now, the one thing he is going to do is use reason. All right. When trust busting, Teddy is going to
Is there a charger for this?
anybody
Have Molly's number.
Molly's number?
I know it.
Shoot her a text.
Yep.
Molly, give it the program.
Wait, someone texted?
I am. But like,
We got it.
she'll get it.
Text coming your way. If this goes out, it's your fault, Molly. I'm blaming you. Third period, Molly.
She's in
She did it. I know she's in first, but I gotta explain this to third period. Okay. The rule of reason. The rule of reason. He's not going to bust trusts that are socially useful. Is it still rolling?
Yep, I'm watching.
Okay. He's not going to bust trusts that are socially useful. All right. He is not going to bust up U.S. Steel. Why?
Because we depend on it too much.
We need steel. All right. So if they're socially useful, he's not going to bust them up. But if they are a trust or a monopoly that is being used to just make rich people richer, are they going to get busted up?
Yeah.
You better believe it. All right. Good. And we see some other things that we'll run through. There he is. He's busting up trust. Who's that supposed to be?
U.S. Steel.
Yeah, because it's a
Good
trust.
little
Look how happy he is. Such a jolly fella. All right, 1902. May of 1902, we're going to get a coal strike. Okay, we're going to get a coal strike. Anybody know where we're getting most of our coal at this time?
the what?
Nope.
Illinois.
Nope. PA and West Virginia.
Let's say the Eastern Coast.
PA and West Virginia. West Virginia and Pennsylvania coal miners are all going to go on strike. Kind of give you an estimate of what that means. About 125,000 people are going to go on strike. Miners have demands. What are the demands unions are typically wanting?
Maybe higher pay, better hours, safer conditions.
There you go. The miners have demands. They want a 20% wage increase. Sound a little absurd?
Kinda.
Sure, but you got to throw something out there. They want to reduce their hours from 10 hours to 9 hours. Does that sound reasonable?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah.
And they want recognition of their union. All right, they want recognition of the union. The mine owners refused. All right, they refused. They refused to even negotiate with the miners. All right, it's dead.
It's on. Still on.
Okay. The mine owners refused to negotiate with the miners. Pardon me. Is this a big deal if we run out of coal?
Yeah.
Why?
Because we depend on it for like everything.
For need, it's for life.
Yeah, I mean, our entire economy is ground to a halt. Because the mine owners would not negotiate with the miners, Teddy sees the mine owners as a threat. All right? He sees them as a threat. On October 3rd, he's going to call a conference at the White House. That's what's going on here. He's going to call a conference at the White House. It's going to be Teddy. It's going to be the mine owners. And it's going to be the miners' union representatives. All right? The owners refuse to negotiate. How's Teddy going to feel about this?
You're gonna get busted.
Man, Teddy gets all bent out of shape. I mean, he literally loses his cool. He's throwing papers off desks. I mean, he's screaming at these guys. How dare you? How dare you come into my office? Into my office and refuse me. Me! I'm the president. The trust buster. I'm gonna bust you, fool. Threatens the mine owners. Threatens the mine owners that he is going to send in the army and nationalize the mines. What happens if the government takes over the mines?
No private money.
Huh?
No money.
No money going to who?
The
The
private
big
money.
guys.
These guys. All right.
Sucks for you.
Am I still in this thing? I
Still
saw it got
on it.
turned.
You're good.
Can you see me over here?
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Half of you. Saw that.
Okay, good. Well, as long as you can. I'm gonna turn it just a smidgen.
You gonna kick the door?
No, I ain't kick a door.
You done.
Who would kick a door?
You gonna throw a stool at him?
False. So it threatens to send the army in. Are the mine owners going to break?
Yes.
Absolutely. By the end of October, all the workers had returned. You think they're going to get everything they want?
No.
No. They're going to get, what kind of a wage increase did they want?
20%.
They're going to get a 10% wage increase.
That's
It's
bull.
still good.
Yeah, it's still good. How many hours a day did they want to work?
9.
9. They're going to get their 9-hour workday. And what was the last thing they wanted?
Recognition.
Teddy says no union recognition.
Oh.
Teddy says no union recognition. That's up to the business who wants to do that. Is he siding with one side more than the other?
No.
Not really. Not really. You know, he's trying to be reasonable with this because do the miners need to go back to work?
Yes.
Absolutely. All right. What was one of the big things in imperialism that we were wanting to build?
Canal.
Yeah, some type of canal in Central or South America. Okay. Canal is a prevalent issue. A lot of people have been talking about it. Teddy wants it bad. He really kind of wants to hang his hat on this issue because was he elected president?
Yeah.
No.
No. And have we seen any vice president who became president win an election?
No.
No. Right? And he knows this. And so he really wants it bad. And so he's going to push really hard to get it started. The obvious place is in Panama. Okay? The obvious place is in Panama here. We take a look. Obvious place is in Panama right here. It's the thinnest part of
Yep, you're good.
yeah, oh, I know, I'm good.
Do you?
It's the obvious place. It's the thinnest part of I guess the Western Hemisphere. But there are obstacles in play. All right, there are obstacles in play. Panama at this point is owned by Colombia. Okay, it's owned by Colombia. In November of 1903, Teddy sees an opportunity because the Panamanians revolt against Colombian rule. Okay, it just so happens that the Panamanians, when they revolt, are going to get their independence. And it just so happens that these people who have revolted many times and not gotten their independence were able to get their independence, and for some reason U.S. Navy ships were sitting right on the Panama-Colombian border.
Huh.
Yeah. So, real quick. Am I in?
Yes.
I don't know. You tell me.
Oh, come on. So, here's Panama.
Oh, bonus ring.
No, you didn't.
Monsinas.
I did.
Hey,
Need a card to check out?
I'm doing well.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to, because it's still, you know, there's that like sucking, popping sound in it.
I can't read something.
Sure. Okay. Okay.
Catholic or shut up?
Okay. Thank you. All right, bye. Panama's here. Okay. What we say? 1903
Yeah.
was the revolution. Just so happened, U.S. military ships were sitting out here. The way that the Colombians had always defeated the Panamanians was by sending troops up here and then moving down, kind of sandwiching them in there. But without the ability to do that, the Panamanians won. They also might have had some more guns. Is that looking at me? I want to be the center of attention here.
It's kind of off to the. No. Wait.
Well,
There.
pull it by the tripod.
No. I don't want to break it. Here we go.
Well, then fine. We're moving. Like I told everybody, but not you, 1904, construction would start. It would be completed by 1914, open to commercial industry in 1920, cost us $380 million. Boom. And in 1977, the Senate returned control of the canal back to the Panamanians. All right?
And now it's up for sale.
And it's all for sale. So if you want it, go get it.
The price
But
is
you
right.
can't really use it now.
They do.
You could, but just not for like your mega ships. All right, so we do have an election coming up. Hi. 1904. June, the Republicans are getting together in Chicago. Teddy is in complete control. All right, he's in complete control. He's going to get all the votes. He's going to get paired up with a guy named Chaz Fairbanks out of Indiana. He's a senator. Platform, applaud Republican prosperity. They want a high tariff, and Teddy wants to expand the Navy. He used to be the Secretary of the Navy. So he wants to expand the Navy. The Democrats are going to get together in St. Louis in July. They're going to end up going with a judge out of New York, a guy named Parker. Pair him up with this ancient human being, a former senator from West Virginia. His name was Davis. Dude was like 80 years old. All right. Platform for the Democrats: attack imperialism and attack Teddy. Okay, they're attacking his administration. May, the socialists are going to get together in Chicago. Who are the socialists going to go with?
Eugene.
Yeah, big bad Eugene v. Debs. All right, Debs, platform for the socialists. They want women's suffrage. Are we going to get that? They want tax reform. And then they get a little weird. They want public ownership of transportation and communications. They want to give people shorter hours and increase wages. That's where we're really starting to see what come out. Socialism. Okay. It's interesting because on the eve of this election, Teddy thought he was going to lose. He thought he was going to lose this election. We can see he most definitely didn't really have much to worry about.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Solid South.
Civil War.
Solid South, right? I told you.
Yeah.
All the way up until, I mean, that is right there, the quintessential Solid South.
Maryland.
Do what?
Was Maryland was a part of the Solid South.
Maryland split there.
What was the socialist platform again?
Women's suffrage, tax reform, and basically nationalize communications and railroad. All right. So,
Wait, why did he think he was gonna lose?
I don't know, because he was nervous.
Is
I mean, you got to look at it. No vice president had ever won an election up until him, and so he just kind of thought that it was over for him. Teddy is going to make one of the biggest blunders of his career right after he gets inaugurated for his second inaugural by announcing that he is not going to run again in 1908. All right, he's going to announce that he's not going to run again in 1908, and the reason why I say it's a blunder is because he's effectively taking power away from himself. It's what's what's known as a lame duck presidency. And nowadays, everybody has a lame duck presidency if they're voted twice, because now we have term limits. But it really takes power away from himself. What Teddy's going to do is kind of turn his attentions once he becomes this quote unquote this lame duck president on things that really have a lot of meaning to him. All right, a lot of things that have meaning to him. And we can see, the big three things that are important to him. He knows that we need to have some serious reform in the country. Conservation is a big deal to Teddy. He's an avid outdoorsman. And then there's also foreign policy, which we'll get into. Okay, so let's talk reform. 1906, we're going to see a lot of writers becoming very critical about society. And these writers are going to be cumulatively known as muckrakers. Okay, muckrakers. Teddy's going to give them this name. And basically because they're raking up all the muck in society so that everybody can see it. But what's big is that these writings are going to lead to direct reform. All right, they're going to lead to direct reform. Jacob Rees did that book that I just passed around. What do you think that's going to address? Housing. All right, housing is going to be a big deal after that book. I mean, you saw the pictures, right? And people basically sleeping on boards. You've got a couple that I've got listed there. Ida Tarbell's going to write about oil companies. Steffens is going to write about political bosses. These writings are going to appear in journals before they're published. Upton Sinclair and the Jungle. There's all kinds of different things. So let's take a look at some of the key muckrakers. One, this guy, Upton Sinclair. Okay. Upton Sinclair is going to write a book called The Jungle. Okay. The Jungle. And he writes it about the meatpacking industry. The Jungle is a fantastic book. You guys used to have to read it, and I think it's one of those optional texts nowadays. But it really is a shame that you guys don't have to read it anymore. The Jungle is a fictional story about an immigrant who moved into a meatpacking area and got a job in the meatpacking industry. That's where the fiction kind of stops, because what Upton did is he actually went into these places and saw what was going on, and he was writing about things that he saw. And really what the book does is right there, it shows government oversight in the meatpacking industries. It's disgustingly awesome. All right. Some of my favorite accounts from the jungle. He talks about how there's this in a warehouse. All this meat comes in. And it's sitting on this big pallet, and it's completely exposed. And it's in this warehouse, and it's a rusted out warehouse. It's not refrigerated. There's even holes in the roof, so when it rains, and it's like days, a little over a week, that this meat is sitting there just exposed. And he says that every time he goes in, there's rats all over it, and one of his jobs is to shoo the rats off of it. And it's rainy and it's disgusting, and so water is dripping onto this meat, and it begins to turn like white. Like white with mold. And so when they finally get around to the meat, they look at it and say, well, we can't sell this. And somebody says, all right, well, let's just send it over to Europe.
Oh my God.
All right? So they pack it up on a ship and send it over to Europe. When it gets to Europe, Europe looks at it and goes, holy crap, this is vile, it's disgusting. No, send this back. So they sent it back to the States to the same. All the kibbles and bits got pushed into a drain, and it had a catch at the bottom of the drain, and it's his job, because he was small, to be the guy who cleans that catch out. And talking about how he would find fingers, human fingers, in the drain, in the catch, because remember, you chop your hand off or you chop your finger off, you keep working.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why? What's the alternative? Lose your job.
Yep.
All right, basically, wrap it up, pack some salt into it and keep working if you want your job. And his job, no matter what was in the catch, throw it in the meat grinder. Throw it in the meat grinder. All right? And we're talking eyeballs, bone, finger, whatever. Whatever's in there, do it. Is this disturbing to you guys now? Because it freaked people out back then. You're not eating this stuff.
Yeah.
These people were. And I mean, the book, it becomes so popular. It's a fantastic read. It gets so big. Even Teddy gets hold of this. All right. Teddy reads the book, and he gets freaked out and begins checking into the meatpacking industry. What we're going to get because of Upton Sinclair's The Jungle. We're going to get two big acts in 1906. You need to know these. One is the Meat Inspection Act. The other is the Pure Food and Drug Act. Okay? The Meat Inspection Act is going to make sure that all meat is inspected, that it's being taken care of correctly, and it's not going to make people sick. The Pure Food and Drug Act is going to create what we call the FDA today. What is the FDA? There you go, Food and Drug Administration. Now, why is it Pure Food and Drug?
Because they wanted to regulate medicine.
Yeah, medicine isn't being regulated either. And you had these people who were going from town to town selling magic elixirs. All right, and really what a lot, we can cure anything with these magic elixirs. And they're putting on a show and a dance and all this other fun stuff. You guys ever seen, what is it, Puff the Magic Dragon? Or,
Yes.
and the family that wants to take Pete's Dragon? I think that's the movie, not Puff the Magic. Pete's Dragon, you guys seen that?
Nope.
The family that's supposed to be in charge of Pete, they get involved with the magic elixir salesman. Most of the stuff that they're selling people is a mix of cocaine and moonshine. And so people are like, are you groggy? Are you tired? Do you need a quick pick-me-up? Take a shot of this magic elixir. And it's all cocaine and moonshine. So here I am all tired and boom, hey! And then I crash, and what do I get? I get hooked on it, and that's deemed illegal.